Hello, dear students. Today we are going to study The Gift of India, which is in the course of ISC 11th and 12th. It is a poem which is written by Sarojini Naidu. So let's look at who was Sarojini Naidu. She was one of the greatest Indian fighters of freedom. She was Bengali by birth, but she took part in the national movement, and she also became the follower of Mahatma Gandhi. She was a poetess also, and she has written various poems which contain emotions, in which she expresses the emotions of joy and sorrow in equal manner. And as you people must have heard, she was known as Nightingale of India. So in this poem also, we are going to see how Mother India expresses her emotions towards the death of our brave soldiers who have been sent to foreign countries in order to fight for the British in the First World War. So let's see the poem. Because you people must have also seen that Sarojini Naidu has written various poems like Bazaars of Hyderabad, which was there in ICSE 10 2-3 years back. And presently also in 10th, we have got a poem, The Bangle Sellers, written by her also, in which she represents the various stages of woman life. Let's read the first 3 to 4 lines. Is there aught you need that my hands withhold? Rich gifts of raiment or grain of gold? Lo, I have flung to the east and the west, priceless treasures torn from my breast. If you hear it carefully, it contains lyrics. The poem has been written in a lyrical manner. So here in the first line, she says she is talking to the Britishers and asking them, "Is there anything which I have withhold to myself? I have given you each and everything which I possessed. I have given you rich garments, gold, grains, everything which my country has produced, I have given it to you. And apart from this, the most precious gift that I have given you is my brave sons, whom I have born after suffering with great pain. To the drum beats of duty, the sabers of doom, gathered like pearls in their alien graves." To the drum beats of duty means whenever you call them, whenever you call millions of my brave sons as in the form of soldiers to your alien lands. Alien means to the foreign lands like the East and the West. East may like Middle East, Egypt was there. Then Flanders and Flanders means Germany. Then France, Persia, which is now known as Iran. So I have seen that all my brave soldiers have always attended to the call of duty. Whenever you call them to take part in the First World War, they all attended to the drum beats of duty. The drum beats of duty means whenever they were called to carry on their duties and fight for the Britishers in the First World War, they always attended to their duties. The sabers of doom means while fighting, they lost their lives also. Doom means death. So they now lie buried in the graves, gathered like pearls in the alien graves. They are just, you can say, their dead bodies are strewn all over like pearls. And their dead body is also buried in the graves of the alien land. That means these soldiers never came back to India. Their dead bodies were never sent back to India. But instead, their dead bodies were either laying like that and rotten in the sun, or they were buried in the graves of those foreign lands. Silent they sleep by the Persian waves, scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. Silent they sleep. Some of the dead bodies of the soldiers are lying silently along the shores of the Persia, that means Iran. And some of the dead bodies are just like broken shells on the sands of Egypt. They lie with pale brows and brave broken hands. And some of the soldiers are just their dead bodies are lying in such a way that all of the faces are marred with the soil, and plus they have broken hands. So they seem like scattered flowers, like somebody has just torn the flowers and scattered here and there. They are strewn like blossoms mown down by chance on the blood brown meadows of Flanders and France. That means they are bleeding so much. Those soldiers are bleeding in such a way that due to their blood, the entire coast of France as well as Germany is, you can say, smeared with blood. So everywhere blood and blood is there all over the dust and the soil. Can ye measure the grief of tears I weep? Now here she asks all of us also and to the Britishers, is there anybody who can measure the extent of grief through which I am suffering? Or compass the woe of watch I keep? Or can anybody measure with any instrument that how much grief I am bearing in my heart? How much I am shedding tears due to the grief? Or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair. She also, at the same time, she is saying, I am also feeling a sense of pride. Why? Because she feels proud that she has given birth to such brave sons who attended to the call of duty and sacrificed their lives towards their duty. And hope that comforts the anguish of prayer. And she has a hope. Which type of hope? That one day all these wars and all the, you can say, alien treatment, all will be finished. All will stop one day and peace will be maintained everywhere. This she is praying every time, and due to which she has a great hope that one day this will happen, that everywhere peace will be established. And far sad glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory. She says that one day will come when my Indian soldiers will fight and they will gain victory against the Britishers and gain freedom for Mother India. So banners of victory means that one day my Indian soldiers will hoist the flag of freedom against the Britishers, and this will be the time when peace will be maintained everywhere. When the terror and tumult of hate shall cease, this will be the time when terror and fear or wars, everything will come to a halt. And life will be refashioned on anvils of peace. And then the Indians can live and they will remodel their life in such a way that everywhere peace will be maintained. Everybody will establish a new way of living in which peace will be observed by each and every Indian. And your love shall offer memorial thanks. And whenever out of love you Britishers will remember these Indian soldiers who have become martyrs in these wars, you will also remember them. And whenever you will offer thanks to these Indian soldiers, so just remember that they have, without thinking what was the reason of the war, they always helped you and they took part in the war. To the comrades who fought on the dauntless end. So she says that whenever you Britishers remember my Indian soldiers, I would request you to pay honor and respect to these Indian soldiers for the sacrifices they have done for you people. And you honor the deeds of the dauntless ones, remember the blood of my martyred sons. And I request you Britishers to always remember the blood that was shed by these soldiers for your good. So here we come to the end of the poem. So here we come to know that Mother India is suffering with great grief and pain for the lives of her brave Indian soldiers who took part in the First World War, and they have sacrificed their lives in such a way that their dead body is never coming back. They are buried there, or they are just strewn, they are lying just like that on the sands of Egypt, just like broken shells, or they are scattered on the sands of Germany and France in the form of flowers which have been plucked and strewn everywhere because of their broken hands. So now let's look at the theme, because here we are coming to Here we are also coming to know that Mother India has got great hope that one time will come when terror and war will finish and peace will be established. And this will happen only when India gains freedom against the clutches of the Britishers. And they will hoist the banner of victory. And then only the people's life will be refashioned on the anvil of peace. So let's look at the theme. The first theme is war, which is destructive and painful. Due to war, many of the people they sacrifice their lives. The precious sons of the mothers are, you can say, departed from them because they sacrifice their life for their country. And here, Mother India is, you can say, shedding tears for the precious sons that she has given as a gift to the Britishers. These sons, without knowing the reason why the first world war has taken place, they, without asking, had attended to the call of their duty. So here we have seen that due to the loss of her children, the Mother India is in great grief, and she is asking if anybody could measure the grief through which she was running through. Then at the end, she is also asking the Britishers that when you people feel love for our Indian soldiers who have sacrificed their lives, then please honor them and respect them for the sacrifices they have made for you. That means bravery should always be rewarded. Whenever a person is showing bravery and has sacrificed his entire life for his country, that should be honored always. Now we have come to also know that generally Sarojini Naidu is known popularly for giving the imageries in her poem. Like first is visual imagery, then we come to know about color imagery, then auditory. Auditory imagery is coming through that third line to the drum beats of duty. So drum beats of duty means we immediately come to know that we can hear it also that how the soldiers would have attended to the call of their duty. Whenever the Britishers used to order them, they had to do whatever was ordered. Then the first one, as I told you, is visual imagery, in which we come to know about various things. We can visualize them in front of our eyes. Like we can see, silent they sleep at Persian waves. So we can immediately imagine how their dead bodies are lying silent beside the waves of the Persian Sea on the coast. Scattered like shells on Egyptian lands. This also we can visualize how they are scattered here and there, that the dead body is scattered here and there, just like broken shells on the Egyptian land. They lie with pale brows and brave broken hands. So we can visualize immediately that how the hands have been broken during the war and they are lying just here and there like flowers strewn all over. Then color imagery may, when in the first line, in the second line she says, haven't I given you raiments, green and gold. Gold immediately comes to our mind, the color of gold, and this gold also symbolizes tradition. Then we can also come to know the color imagery by blood brown. That means they have now withered away, and the meadows of Flanders and France have turned blood brown. Blood brown means the sand of that entire land is smeared with the blood of the bleeding soldiers. So immediately we can come to know, or we can visualize that what type of color would have been over there. So these type of imagery she has been using. And this poem is apt. It is having a correct title, The Gift of India, because the precious gift, apart from all the gifts that Mother India has given to the Britishers, like clothes, gold, grains, the most precious gift that she has given to the Britishers is her brave soldiers, her sons, whom she has borne with great suffering. And she has imagined how the dead bodies of her brave soldiers are lying there, and there is no hope of their returning back. So this title is the appropriate one, in which the background of the poem is that about 1 million of the soldiers were sent to take part in the First World War, out of which 75,000 soldiers lost their lives, and the Britishers did not even care that their dead bodies should be sent to their homes. They lied wherever they were. So the dead body was even decayed, rotten under the sun. So here the poem ends. We can also say that it is an elegy. Elegy means what? This poem is an elegy. Elegy means a sad song which is sung on the death of somebody. So the death of our brave soldiers has made Mother India sing about this, about her sorrows. And it is an anti-war poem, as we are coming to know about the consequences of war, that war doesn't do anything good to anybody. So hope you have understood this poem. And if you have understood the concept, press the like button. We'll come up with more videos on Tempest, poems and stories. Thank you.